Welcome back to the Controvert podcast where we talk about Asian dating. My name is Panda and I'm your host. Today we have a dating coach who wants to debunk the theory that Asian men are looked down upon. He believes that Asian men has been held in higher regard the past few years. So, guest, please go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Sebastian Ye. I've been a pickup and dating coach for the past 4 to 5 years, and I've been doing pickup for a decade now.
Okay. All right, so going back to this topic, right? Why do you think Asian men are held in such higher regard? I still don't think that they are, okay, there's K-pop, right?
Right.
But
yes,
other than
yes.
K-pop, what other thing is there that really helps out Asian men?
So I kind of brushed upon it the last podcast episode, but yeah, I'll go over it again. Number one is the positive stereotype that we're really, really talented with classical instruments. The violin, the piano, the flute, the cello, all this, all the classical instruments. And I didn't understand how that could be positively used in the dating scene until my friend Tam in Orange County showed me. So I'll quickly go over the story. My friend Tam, when we were first learning how to do pickup, he told me, yo, Sebastian, one of the best date spots you could take a girl to is Guitar Center. So I thought it was hilarious. I'm like, bro, that's a trash spot. Why would you take a girl to Guitar Center? And he's like, no, trust me. Like, we're going to go on a double date this week and I'm going to show you what's up. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And it's two white girls. Okay, it's two white girls, double date. And his girl, he sits her down on a piano. He has his arm around her and he starts playing the piano right next to her. And the whole time she's literally swooning. She's like falling. She's like, doing this. She's leaning on his shoulder with the starry eyes. Mm-hmm. And I'm looking, I'm like, oh damn, this is a good date spot. Yo, it's working. Anyways, at end of the day, long story short, I asked him, I'm like, yo, Tam, you know how to play the piano? He's like, no, I don't know how to play that shit. I'm like, what was that? So I don't know how to play piano either. I don't know anything. Okay, if you held a gun to my head and you say, hey, you need to play this note to live, I'd be like, oh man, I'm at a loss. So what he tells me is, I know how to pretend like I know how to play the piano.
Yeah.
Okay, because these white girls, they just think, oh, Asian, piano, he's talented, he knows what he's doing, right? So yeah, so we have that positive stereotype going for us. That's number one.
Wait, but before we get into that, right, like a little bit more,
sure,
the next stereotype, but
sure,
you did mention that. Sebastian's laughing because I'm about to roast him. So you mentioned that he's not really good with musical instruments, right?
Right.
Sorry, I gotta get into debate mode, bro. This fool's laughing so hard. But I mean, you said that he's not good with like musical instruments, but you said that he, Asians, like the positive stereotype is that we're good with musical instruments.
Right.
But is it just like the stigma that women think we are, but we don't necessarily have to be? So whatever we play is just
yeah.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Correct. Yeah.
But okay, so like before we jump on to the next topic, what about like musical instruments being like a sexy factor? Because I always thought like a sexy factor is if you know how to play basketball,
right?
If you know how to dance, if you do some sort of activity that is more masculine, but playing musical instruments, it's not considered masculine. Like in my opinion, it's not like you could show off like your muscles and stuff like that, right?
Correct. So the reason why being musically talented is considered attractive is because it brings out a lot of emotion, right? Mm-hmm. There's endless studies shown that emotion, music and emotion are tied, right? So that's why I don't know if you ever seen like these really bummy guitar guys that get a lot of girls, right? They're at like Santa Monica playing the guitar, and all of a sudden, you see girls swooning over him. He's just some beach bum guy.
Yeah.
Right. So, music it brings out a lot of emotion in girls. If you look at like Backstreet Boys, NSYNC, or any pop groups, right? Why do women swoon over that? Those guys are the least masculine looking guys.
Oh, gotcha.
Right? Yeah, they're the least masculine looking guys. Jeff and I had a debate about this because I asked him, I'm like, yo, I might get canceled for this, but this is what I used to say. This is what I used to think. I used to ask Jeff, like, yo, why do the girls like these fruity looking guys, like these feminine, fruity guys? They got makeup on, they got painted nails, all weird color hair, right? Why are girls into that? Mm-hmm. And he said, oh, let me ask you, Sebastian. Do you, because him and I, we watch combat sports, we watch MMA. Okay. And he said, when you look at a girl fighting in a cage versus a guy fighting in a cage, right? When you look at the girl fighting in the cage, what do you think? Mm-hmm. I think, oh, damn, I got a lot of respect for her. He said, why? Why do you say that? I said, well, she's competing in a very, very masculine sport or activity, even though she's a woman.
Okay.
I was like, and Jeff's like, exactly. Same thing with girls, right? Girls, when they see a guy that's able to excel in feminine activities, there's a level of respect for it.
Okay.
And I was like, oh, that's interesting.
Okay, I guess that makes sense because like whenever I see back in middle school, these dudes who would be playing like guitar.
Yeah.
And especially like the Filipino guys, right? You get the ukulele and then they start playing it. And then you could see the girls' eyes like swooning.
Yes. Yeah.
And sometimes like in the car, because I was in choir, you know. I do say that it's a feminine thing. But, back then in high school, I just love to sing, right? But when I was in choir, sometimes it would just be a car full of us, right? With like choir people, and then you see like one girl telling like one choir guy, hey, start singing. And then when he starts singing, you could see the rest of the girls in the car, they just are super silent and just like looking at the guy.
They're in awe, right?
Yeah. And I don't think it has anything to do with like a feminine or masculine kind of activity. I think this is more like gender neutral. So I do take back what I said. I do think that singing or any sort of musical instruments is not really considered feminine or masculine. I just think that something that is considered like really, really masculine is probably something like basketball or sports or just like dancing or whatever, right?
Right.
Like dancing as in like if you do like choreo, right? For a guy, I think that's quite masculine because like you could show off like your muscles. So yeah, but anyways, back to your second point. Let's get back into that.
Yeah, so I would say that's a very good positive stereotype that Asian men can lean into, right? The musically talented. I just thought of another story. One of my former students, his name is Chuck. Okay, he's Vietnamese, full Vietnamese accent, Vietnamese name, Vietnamese through and through. Okay. Mm-hmm. It was many years later I met with him, like after he already took my coaching and he already became very successful with women. I met up with him many years later. He just happened to be in the New York area, and he said, yo, Sebastian, let's meet up. I'll come pick you up. I said, okay, cool. So the moment I jumped into his car, he's blasting K-pop music. Okay, this is a full Vietnamese guy. He's kind of street. He's not a gangster, but he's kind of about that life. And I look at him and I go, what is a guy like you doing listening to K-pop and J-pop and all this pop music? Like,
yeah,
right? And he goes, oh, my bad, dude. And then he kind of felt embarrassed, and then he turned off the music. Because this is like a street guy, right? He's like, oh, and then he like hurried and turned it off. And I look at him all weird, like, what the hell? And then he said, oh, my bad. I was on a date earlier before, before I met up with you. I was on a date earlier. And I was like, okay, but what's that got to do with, he's like, no, you don't understand this. I was on a date with this Latina girl, and she loves Korean guys. Oh. She loves Korean guys. I'm like, yo, you ain't Korean though. He's like, man, they don't even know the difference. I was just like, oh my God.
Nah, bro, I feel like he's probably like ashamed. He probably likes it himself. It's like the typical cliche.
I caught him, yeah.
Like you caught him and he's like, oh, turning it off.
Yeah. I got to act hard in front of my boy.
Yeah, probably. Exactly.
Yeah, so, I would say that's, again, another positive stereotype that Asian men can use to their advantage, right, for dating. The third one, I would say, is...
Wait, so the second one that you just mentioned is about K-pop?
Music, just musically talented. Yeah, it's whether it's classical instruments or K-pop.
But I thought the first one was musically talented, right? So the second one is just like liking kind of like the same interests, kind of? Same songs?
Yeah, I mean, that can work too, but particularly like K-pop, because that's right now one of the more dominant categories that Asian men are striving in, right? The pop category.
Yeah.
Right? Even I heard Chinese pop is a huge thing now.
Yeah, for Chinese people, I guess.
Yeah.
It's still not as popular as K-pop.
K-pop, correct.
Like,
K-pop's
K-pop actually
more global.
Influences non-Asians.
Yes.
And like
that's
a bunch of like true. Latinas, white girls, whatever.
Oh yeah, they love that.
They start liking like K-pop, and I'm like, damn, like C-pop ain't like that busting,
Yeah, that's true too. So, yeah, the music aspect, us Asians, we can definitely use that to our advantage, whether it's classical instruments or K-pop.
Okay. Well, I could relate to you with the second point too, because we've made some videos that Asian men are actually getting held in high regard because of K-pop. Like explicitly, the title was K-pop is changing Asian men's lives. So yeah, I got nothing to say for that. All right, third point, bro.
Third one, I would say this one is a little newer. So specific types of sports. Right, so this goes back to the recent Olympics, right? So the Olympics blew up for Asians because I think China won at one point in the Olympics. They had the most amount of medals. They won the most amount of medals, and it was really good to see that. Oh damn, China. It's dominating in all the swim sports, the diving, the swimming. They were dominating. And on TikTok, there was a lot of thirst traps. For the Asian male Olympian swimmers, right? Sorry, I don't know what to call them, right? But the swimmers. Okay, I'll just say the Olympic swimmers. There you go. The Asian Olympic swimmers. There was a lot of thirst traps for them. Right, like because they had really good physique, the opposite of what most people picture Asian men.
Okay.
And I remember that blew up huge, right?
I heard about that.
So we can play into that as well, because what are we usually known for in the Olympics? Like winning, like badminton, ping pong, like not the masculine, manly like sports, right?
Yeah. So
I would say that's a little more recent. And we can start playing into that as well, like some specific sports.
Okay, like I know you're like mentioning a lot of good points, but these are more so like recent phenomenons, right? Like for example, K-pop, for example, the Olympic swimmer.
Yeah.
But what about things that Asians always had and that women are starting to, Asian men, by the way, that non-Asian women are starting to see these Asian men as now having. Like they're like, oh, I should have known that these Asian men had this all along.
Yeah.
Like for example, I mean, the common stereotype of like how Asian men or Asians in general are just good with math.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe like something, if you could give us a point like that?
That is, I would say that's extremely difficult, especially in a more superficial society such as the modern West. I'll give you an example. So we are known to be really good, we're family oriented, right? Asian men, we're very family oriented. But a lot of girls nowadays, they don't look at that as an immediate key indicator of oh, this guy is attractive, right? The usual immediate key indicators are his height, right? His finances, and his charisma, right? When a girl looks at any guy in general. So
you mentioned family orientation that Asian men have, or just Asians in general.
Yeah.
I mean, I do see a lot of Asians that they get beat by their parents so much that they're so traumatized by their Asian parents.
Right.
And they don't really want to have a good relationship with them. And then once they go to college, they're like, I don't want to see my parents that much anymore. I mean, they probably still go back and hang out with their parents.
Yeah.
But they have a sentiment where it's like, fuck my parents kind of a thing, you know?
Yeah.
So when you say that most Asian men are family oriented, are you saying like we still have like one of the highest rates of like family closeness than other races?
Yeah. The nuclear family, right? As Asians, we stick together more in terms of keeping that family nucleus as strong as possible. Like, we're known for that. Same thing with the Latin community, right? So, but the thing is, that's not an immediate attraction switch for women in general. So I would say we can't use that one, you know. And you brought up, well, what's a attraction switch that Asian men can use that's always been there? Did you know that the very, very first male sex icon in Hollywood was Asian?
Who?
He's a Japanese guy named Hesu Hayakawa, okay? He is the first sex icon ever in Hollywood. And it was an Asian guy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. A lot of people don't know this. He was extremely successful as an actor, as a celebrity. But yeah, that was forgotten along the way. Yeah, you can look it up, Hesu Hayakawa. So
what year was this?
Oh, this was...
Because I would imagine if it's like something big, then a lot of people remember it, especially Asians, right?
Man, this was... I don't know. This was a long time ago. This was like black and white movie days. You know? So this was... I think it was,
1900s, like early 1900s.
Early, yeah. But he was the first sex icon in Hollywood. Male sex icon in Hollywood. Extremely successful as well. So... I'm trying to think of a attraction. Yeah, it's very difficult because when you ask me that question, a lot of those attraction switches just died out throughout the years.
Yeah. So I guess what I'm trying to like say is that there's a lot of appropriation that Asian men had. For example, in Hollywood, they would use Asian men as like more like the nerdy, not sexy,
or a clown,
or like a clown. You know, like one of the losers, right?
Yeah.
So I guess like I'm asking more so like what is something that we had always?
Yeah.
For example, we always had like shorter average height, right?
Right.
So are you kind of saying that women now are changing their thinking and being like, okay, I'm going to sacrifice height for like better family orientated guy?
No, I'm saying the opposite. No, they're not doing that. They're not willing to sacrifice height for, he's...
Because we talk about on the podcast a lot more, right? Yeah. The standards are getting higher where women are now looking at like the 6 figures, 6 feet, and the 6-pack, right?
Right.
So if Asian guys are on average lower height, smaller height, right? Then it's probably that we're still not getting that like sexy appeal to these women, right?
Yeah. Not that immediate not the superficial, right? The superficial attraction switches still haven't caught up, especially in the West, the modern West. It still hasn't caught up yet.
Yeah.
So
like, I guess what I'm trying to say is that like if it's getting more strict, that
Yeah.
women are looking at this height thing,
yeah.
then they might start liking Asians less, right?
Well, that's why Korea has been huge. If you look at, you can on your own time look up this statistic, but the past few years, Korea had a massive height jump. Okay.
The hell? How?
Yeah. Yeah.
Breeding higher guys. That's
No,
weird.
it's a real thing. Yeah.
That's crazy. Okay.
Nutrition.
Oh, gotcha.
Simply
gotcha.
nutrition, because Korea economically has been striving, right? I know that's debatable because I've heard from my Korean friends that they can't afford anything in the main cities in Korea nowadays. But what I'm saying is, economically, Korea is doing much better than it was way before, when it was a really, really poor country way back in the day. So that height jump, I could be wrong, but based off of a lot of the research articles that I saw, it's simply due to nutrition.
Yeah.
So yeah, Korean guys are known to be taller. Right? They're known to be taller. It's that stereotype. Korean guys are the apex when it comes to the Asian community, right?
Okay.
When it comes to attraction. So
How about the problem of like being communicative? Because I know like a lot of Asian men are more submissive than like other men and not as masculine in terms of their characteristics, like how outspoken they are.
yeah,
More Asian men, I feel like, are more like just docile. Like quiet,
yeah,
and more not as like the Gege Chad that we
Yeah.
see online. The one that's like very outspoken and Sigma.
yeah,
They're probably the ones that don't go to the gym too much. I'm not saying that Asians en masse don't do that.
yeah,
I'm saying that there's probably a lesser percentage that they go to the gym and get more built, and there's a lesser percentage that they're as outspoken as like any other race out there. So how does that contribute to like how women see that? If we've always kind of been like that, wouldn't they still kind of see that as there's a less sex appeal because men are supposed to lead?
Yeah.
And if Asian men, they're like not as outspoken, then they're not really going to lead that well in
Yeah.
that regard, right? So
yeah. Generally, yes. That's unfortunately that has been a stereotype of Asian men, right? Docile, quiet. But there are certain subcultures that have been changing that. Like, for example, for those of you that are familiar with Southern California, there's a lot of hardcore Asian gangs. Hardcore,
Oh, yeah.
right?
Yeah,
Hardcore Asian gangs. Again, that's a subculture, right? It's not the general, like generally Asians aren't going to be Asian gangsters, right? So, yeah, but ask if you come to Southern California, people know, oh, you don't mess with the Asian gangs across the board, right? So those subcultures are starting to, of course, it's debatable, right? Like, oh, that's not a positive role model for Asian men to follow if you want to be masculine, right? I understand, but all I'm saying is that subculture can slowly start changing, how people view Asian men.
I'm not gonna lie, some girls probably find that really hot because
there
are some girls that just like straight up go like, I want a gangster guy with tattoos,
right? A thug,
and like the Asian baby boy with like hella dragon tattoos all over the body.
Chinese characters. Yeah,
I mean, he gets more bitches than like the other
docile
guys that are just like
course.
no tattoos and
Of course.
at home looking at Reddit and playing League of Legends. You know what I mean? So, yeah, it's not a positive role model to look up to, but he for sure is the one pulling more.
Of course,
you know what I mean?
of course.
So I don't think a lot of them realize that there are like these Asian gangs out there. Like they probably still see it as like Asians are more docile. But my point of view, I guess I'm not really saying or talking about like the stigma, But what about like the stats? Because a lot of the Asian guys that I come across,
Yeah.
they're more less outspoken like white guys or even Hispanic guys that I talk to. Because like Hispanic guys, right? They like to joke around.
Oh,
like,
they love to joke
lot.
around.
Like they're super super friendly.
Yeah.
You talk to them like instantly, you guys could be like best friends.
Yeah.
But for example, like Asians, if an Asian guy tries to talk to like a Hispanic, it's funny because me and Sebastian have been going to this taco truck or something 3 days straight, bro.
Yeah.
And we're like super chill with Hispanic workers that work there, right?
Yeah.
And I was thinking if it was any other Asian,
Most Asians don't.
Asians would not be able to do that.
Nah. No.
And dude, we were shooting the shit. I
was slamming beers with them. We're chugging Coronas with them.
I was calling this guy gordito.
Yeah.
That means like
Little fatty.
You know? And then if you call an Asian that, I think most Asian guys would be like, what the fuck?
Yeah. Well, yeah.
Like they'd be like offended.
Correct.
But then like, Hispanics, like it was a Mexican taco truck, right? Like we just said that and they were like super chill with it. And they're like laughing, having a good time.
Yeah.
So I think like Asian men, they probably wouldn't be as open to that, right?
Yeah. It's because they grew up, I can say this myself, right? We grew up in a culture of respect, right? Don't look for trouble. Don't make fun of others. Right? Everything's pretty, our upbringing is just, that's how we're raised, right? Respect. That's a big thing, right? Respect your elders, Confucianism, all that stuff.
Got it. Yeah. Controvert Podcast is partnered with Gallant Gentleman, a dating coach program ran by Sebastian Ye. I know what you're thinking. Dating coach program. Shake my head. Superficial guys that rely on looks to get girls. But no, whether you're short, fat, ugly, or even broke, Gallant Gentleman has helped hundreds of men have success with women. I mean, look at Sebastian. He always openly admits that he's a loser.
I'll openly admit I'm a loser. Okay? No problem. I'll openly admit.
And it's because of this honesty that we're partnering with him, because we know that he will help his students. So if you're a man looking to have dating success with women with proven methods and without relying on looks or money, contact Gallant Gentleman in the link below or in the description below.
Yeah, most, I would say most Asians outside of SoCal or New York, because New York Asians, they go pretty hard too, like especially if they grew up in Brooklyn. There was recently an Asian rapper blew up in Brooklyn. His name is Contrast. I mean, he's always been rapping, but he did a lot of anime rap, and recently he started doing more like mainstream style rap.
Yeah.
Right. So yeah, there are, different subcultures that are changing the game for how not just women how they view Asian men, but how everyone views Asian men.
Got it.
Yeah.
I will defend your point though. I do think that women are starting to change like their thought process about who they want to look for in a guy.
Yeah.
Because like the loud, outspoken guy, he tends to attract a lot of women.
Yeah.
And now as this boy issue is talked about more in society, that women are coming across, and like the whole Me Too movement, they might not even want that loud, outspoken guy.
Right.
They might want like the guy who's like quiet but still successful. Yeah. I'm not saying that you should date a loser as a woman. Probably quiet and successful.
Yeah.
Not loud about his success. So what do we call that? Like a Sigma guy, right?
Yeah.
So there's a difference between like a Sigma and an Alpha.
Right.
So I think the Alpha is like usually loud. He doesn't have to be successful financially. And so Alphas and Sigmas, they kind of don't get along, because they're like, Alphas, they get intimidated by Sigmas, and Sigmas also vice versa. It's like, wow, this guy can get girls without money. What the hell? And then the Alpha is like, damn, if the Sigma walks in, he's just going to steal the girls away without saying anything. You know what I mean? Yeah. So I think maybe because of the stigma of like men are all fuckboys, that could also potentially want these women to date like a more quiet guy, or a guy with more respect, rather than the guy who's just fucking around and making corny jokes.
Yeah,
Right.
I would say that's more true outside of the modern West. Like in America, I would say that doesn't apply as much. For example, if you in America, people like gamers, even professional gamers, right? Just gamers in general, it's kind of looked down upon. Like, oh, they're dweebs, they're geeks,
Yeah.
they're all these things. But if you go to Korea, if you're a really good gamer, that's highly respected.
What?
Even girls like it. Yeah.
Okay.
So Jeff told me a story. He was, what part of Southeast Asia? It might have not been. It might have been another coach. But basically, yeah, there was he went clubbing in Taiwan, and he was thinking, oh, I'm foreigner. I'm gonna have an advantage here in Taiwan. He went to one of the clubs, and there was this one table at the club. It was like chicks were surrounding this table, and the coach was kind of confused because he saw the guy. He was like the stereotypical nerd, geek, dweeb, whatever you want to call it. But he was literally one of Korea's best gamers.
What?
Yeah, video games. Yeah, he was like the top,
Oh, dude,
like
I think
less than 1%.
I think I've seen that in Taiwan before. I'm like,
Probably, right?
dude,
Yeah.
a bunch of girls like surrounding this one guy, and it's like, what is this guy? Like?
He's a
This guy
dweeb. He's a
looks
geek.
like a dweeb. Like,
Yeah.
why? Like, what does he do?
Yeah.
But then it wasn't gaming; it was something else. And then they were super attracted. I don't remember what it was, but it was super nerdy. I thought the action that he was doing or the job that he does, his profession, was nerdy. But I can't remember what.
Might have
it
been a
was.
streamer. Probably a streamer.
It wasn't a streamer. It was something else. But I seen that before. And in America, you would not see a flock of women following this gamer around.
If you go to if you pull up
Unless it's a TwitchCon,
if you pull up into a nightclub in like West LA or just anywhere in Southern California, right, and you're a dweeb, you're like a high level gamer, right? Girls are gonna.
no one's gonna
care. No one's gonna care, especially you look like a dweeb. You could, because it's outside of so there's, I would say, stigmas and stereotypes, and it works very, very differently West versus outside of the West.
Okay.
Yeah, the stigmas work completely
So
differently.
because we're on the topic of like outside of America, right? Let's just focus on that a little bit.
Sure.
So I recall you mentioned something about in Eastern Europe. What about in Eastern Europe? There's a really positive stigma around.
Yeah, so
Go for it.
I'm not gonna say which countries specifically because I want to keep it to myself.
Okay.
So you guys, you're gonna have to do your own homework and research. But there are parts of Eastern Europe where the women there love Asian men. They love Chinese guys or just Asian men in general. Okay, well, because I mean they can't tell they don't know the difference anyways. But just Asians in general. All right. There was I talked to Panda about this. There was a guy from Hebei province in China. I think his name is, you guys could look this up. His name is Max May, M-E-I, Max May. Okay, he just looks like an average Asian guy. Literally, you can look him up. He looks very, very average, and he wasn't a very. I'm gonna say this nicely. He wasn't a smart guy at all. I would say he's kind of dumb. Okay. Actually, I'm not saying that. The stories written about him say that. Okay. He was applying to colleges in Africa. Okay. He was applying to colleges and universities in Africa. And he somehow ended up in Ukraine because he ended up in Ukraine because he thought Africa was in Ukraine. Okay. That's to show you how smart he is, right? He thought Africa was in Ukraine.
How dumb he is, I mean.
So somehow, yeah, right. Somehow he ended up in, I'm paraphrasing the story. I'm probably going to get a few details wrong, but he ended up in Ukraine and he went to college in Ukraine and he did horribly there too. Academically, he did terrible. And he thought, you know what? I suck at school. And for the remainder of the semester, I'm just going to go play ping pong at the gym. I'm just going to go play ping pong, forget school. And as he was playing ping pong, a Ukrainian girl approached him. Okay. And at first he didn't think anything of it. So they were just he was very cordial with her. And eventually the Ukrainian girl told him like, hey, I like you. Okay. I like you. And he didn't think anything of it. He was like, oh, okay, I like you too. But he didn't put two and two together in terms of, oh, she likes me in a romantic way, right? He just thought, oh yeah, I like you. You're friendly. You're cool, right? And long story short, finally they ended up getting married. Eventually they ended up getting married. And he asked her, hey, why did you like me? Why do you like me? And she told him, oh, I thought you were one of the smartest guys I've ever met in my life. Okay. And this guy's kind of dumb. And her saying that to him, he genuinely thought he was a smart guy. And he ended up being a multimillionaire. He started his own import-export business. He started his own matchmaking service. He ended up being hyper successful, right? So that I thought, oh, maybe that's just an exception, right? I thought maybe it's an exception. But then I started noticing, no, most girls, European girls, or white girls, I should say, most white girls that gave me a chance, they were all Eastern European. Even in America, it's the Eastern European girls that gave me a chance.
Though? Like, what's the reason? Do you know?
No, I don't know.
I mean, is there like a positive stigma that Asians have over there?
Yeah, so
I'm sure there is.
The first time it really hit me, the first time that stigma really hit me, that was when I went to, I went to Poland. Okay, I went to Poland. Okay.
You told me you were not going to reveal that to the viewers.
It's fine, whatever. They get a freebie. Okay, so I was in Poland, and one of the dating apps I was using, I'm not gonna say which dating app because it's just too good. Okay, one of the dating apps I was using was blowing up like crazy. Okay, these Polish girls were matching me. They were swiping on me. I've never had a girl swipe on me. It's usually the other way around. I swipe on the girl and then she matches me. No, it was the first time girls were swiping on me. And these are beautiful Polish girls, Eastern European girls, absolutely beautiful. Okay, so that was number one. Number two, I was just walking around one of Poland's busy streets, and there was a flyer. On a construction site, like these flyers like posted against the wall of this construction site. Everywhere. I saw this flyer everywhere. And it was a K-pop event, a flyer for a K-pop event. And I was kind of confused. I was like, wait, why are there K-pop groups out here in Poland? Mm-hmm. Like out of all places. So I saw a couple of young girls walk by. They look like college girls. And I just asked them, I said, hey, this is my first time here in Poland. I don't know anything about the country, the culture. I don't know anything. Let me ask you something. Is K-pop really popular and big in Poland? Because I see this flyer everywhere. I'm pointing at the flyer as I'm talking to the girl. Yeah. And she says, oh yeah, I'm actually going to go to that event.
What?
And I said, really? She's like, you don't know? Like K-pop is huge out here in Poland. We love K-pop. We love Korean guys. And I said,
the hell?
Oh, okay. And she said, oh, you going to go too? Like, you should join us. I said, oh, no, I'm not going. Because I had work. Right? I had business to take care of. And she said, yeah, all my college friends are going. We're all going. I said, oh, okay, cool. And that's when it hit me. I was like, oh, damn. Outside of the U.S., we Asians, we're sought after, especially in Eastern Europe.
I would have expected, like, Western Europe to have more of that positive stigma around around K-pop.
No, yes, they do, but not as much as like Eastern European girls. They love Asian guys. I'm not just talking about Korean guys. They love Asian guys.
That's
I don't know
probably
why.
the reason, man. Like, it's probably just K-pop that's making them Asian men.
I don't know why. I don't know why. So I was dating a girl in Serbia, and I asked her if she's into K-pop, and she's like, "Oh, what's that?" And I was like, "What?" I was like, "Okay, never mind. Maybe it's not all." But
It's K-pop, bro. I feel like it's K-pop.
So I asked the Serbian girl, beautiful Serbian girl, really, really pretty. I asked her like, "Hey, what made you say yes to me? Like, what made you attracted to me?" You know what she told me? She said, "Oh, you have a really, really beautiful face." I said, "Me? Me? This face here?"
Serbian girl?
Yeah, Serbian girl.
What?
I'm like, me? Like this face? I get roasted. I don't know if you guys saw the comment section on the last podcast I did, but people are roasting me for my look.
The first podcast that we did.
Yeah, the first podcast I did. Yeah,
What'd you get called?
Mophead. I got called a mophead. Really original. So, points for creativity. I've been called every name in the book. I've never been called
That
mophead.
was probably the best.
That was it was really good.
It's because you had your hair down.
Yeah.
I got to show them how it looked, bro.
5 to 10 mile radius. Yeah. The closest city
Right here.
with Asians is Found Valley or Irvine. Okay, for those of you
comment
familiar
section
with
was saying, "Yo, this guy's trying to tell us he gets girls."
I literally
He's
had
got this
an
mop
auto
head.
swiper. I got zero matches.
That looks
straight up
He's got
zero.
hair that looks like a mop
I
swiper.
maxed out.
That's mad fuck.
I
Why'd you do
maxed.
this?
I
Why'd you rock this
maxed
anyways?
out the swipe.
I'll be honest, I had a really bad hair day that day. Really bad hair day.
Wait,
And-
is this the same hair that you have right now? It's just that you styled.
Yeah.
differently?
I
It's the same
yeah.
length.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. But yeah, I had a bad hair day.
Be honest. Were you trying to do more of a K-pop look?
No.
As like
This is
experimentation.
No. This is I mean, I have a new look, but I just messed it up. Like I messed it up, so that's how it came out to look like.
Oh.
Yeah, I messed it up, and I had a bad hair day. It was like a combination of both, but I didn't care. Like I was just like, whatever. This is what I got for today. I'm just gonna work with it.
Okay.
But yeah, anyways, so yeah, in Eastern Europe, these girls, they find me attractive.
Mm-hmm.
I was doing I hired a professional photographer to take pictures of me when I was visiting all the monuments in Warsaw, right?
Yeah.
All the monuments. She was taking pictures of me. And I had 4 people walk by me as I was taking these photos at different times. They said, "Hey, are you a model?" And I said,
What?
"No." I'm like, "Oh," and I asked them like, "Oh, is it because of the
And
camera?"
that never happens in America, right?
Right. No. So I wanted to ask for clarification.
Yeah.
Right. I asked them like, "Oh, is it because of the camera?" Because the photographer was taking pictures of me.
Yeah.
It's like, "Oh, is it because of the camera? You thought I was a model?" They said, "Oh, no. You like look really attractive." I'm like,
And this would never happen in America.
not in a million years.
This happened in Warsaw, right?
yeah, this happened in Warsaw, and it happened 4 times. 4 different people. Yeah, and
crazy.
I was like, I've never been complimented like that in my like almost never. Like I've been complimented, but not like that. A model? Are you kidding me? A model? No. Yeah. Like
So I guess what you're trying to say with this, I mean, I don't know if you're trying to say this, but I think the fact that there's not like a negative stereotype that
outside of the US.
yeah, outside of the US, but
No,
it's always been purported this idea that Asian men are not attractive.
Yeah.
But when you go outside of the US, where it has not been purported, where this ideology has not been propagandized,
Yeah.
then it's actually they look at us with a clean slate.
Yes. Let me tell you the first time I experienced this. I was in central London, okay? And I was at it still exists, okay? It's the most ratchet nightclub in central London. It's called Tiger, okay? So I went to Tiger because I don't know the area. I don't know anything. This is my first time in central London. I was 22, 23 at the time. So I just asked the locals. I said, "Yo, which club is the most fun club, the most lit, the most crazy? Point me in the direction." They all said Tiger. I said, "Okay, I'm going Tiger." So I started running my usual game. I started running my usual game, and none of the girls were receptive. They weren't into it. They weren't into me. They were not having it. They were giving me weird looks. So I was wondering, like, oh, is my game really bad? Like, what the hell's going on? Right? And as the night went on, I started noticing. I was like, oh, let me try not gaming at all. Let me just be myself. Okay, let me just be myself. I think that's gonna work a little differently. Let me test it out. So when I stopped gaming, girls liked me even more. And that was a shock to me because I was like, holy shit, is this how it's like for non-Asians in America? They don't have to game. They could just be themselves and girls will like them for that.
Damn.
Yeah. And when I did that in London, it was the most liberating feeling. Like my self-worth shot up. Not my ego, my self-worth. Because for the longest time in America, I was getting beat down, like literally getting hammered down.
But some people might say that's just you. Probably a lot of other Asian men, they don't feel like that. It's just stemming from your own insecurity. But me also as an Asian man, I felt like that. And I'm sure there's a lot of Asian men that feel like that because we get judged based on our appearance. And then they probably just affiliate that with like the negative stigma around us.
Yeah.
And they would be like, well, he's not that attractive.
Yeah.
But these are actual issues that Asian men are faced with, right?
Yeah.
So I think we could agree on that. Yeah. But I do probably disagree that, okay, I'll say this. I think K-pop and the recent stuff have made Asians a lot better, Asian men, right?
Yeah, a lot of recent stuff.
But there are certain things in America where it's like the stats are always going to be there. For example,
yes, correct. Yes.
What I've seen, right? I have like non-Asian female friends, and then what I always hear from them is like, oh, that guy's, PP is too small, and he's Asian.
Right.
That's why I didn't like him.
Oh, damn.
And even some Asian girls, some Asian girls would say that about Asian men too. They would say that about their own kind.
Right.
So there are probably some factors that are out of Asian men's control.
Yeah.
That will still make Asian men ranked lower on the spectrum.
Yeah.
Another example is lower bone density.
Yeah.
So Asians en masse have a lower bone density than Africans, Americans, right? Or
correct.
Sorry, like Africans or black people. Okay.
Right.
So with that, like women, they like to have a more macho looking guy. Yeah. So if you have a guy with like a more slender build, and that kind of contributes to it because if you have lower bone density, then of course you naturally will look smaller.
Yeah.
You could put on a lot of muscle, but
it's gonna look smaller.
It doesn't matter how much muscle you put. A guy with like natural high bone density, he will still look bigger than you.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. If he puts on the same muscle as you. Yeah. So I think that there's still like these factors that may make us okay. Yeah, for sure. I agree that we're up and coming on the list of like what is attractive. Yeah. But I think what I was trying to say, like I guess 20 minutes ago, is that like there's still like these not even stigmas, but these facts that Asian men have. Yeah. Like for example, quiet. For example, lower bone density. For example, smaller PP. Right.
Right.
I don't know if you feel like these things are things that like qualities that women are starting to overlook, or is it that K-pop and all these other positive stigmas are starting to overlap that?
Yeah, it's starting to overlap that. Yeah.
Got it.
It's the same thing, right? So doesn't matter which race, whether you're black, you're white, you're Asian, you're Latino, they have their own negative stereotypes too, right?
Yeah.
But same thing with the Asians, like the positive stereotypes will overlap it, right? Overlap the negative stereotypes. It's just that as of recently, those positive stereotypes are becoming more and more relevant.
Yeah.
Right. Versus, before, right? So that's why there's some hope, for us Asian guys, not just now, but slowly into the future. It's not going to be immediate. I would say when I have kids, they're going to, reap the benefits of the positive stereotypes.
If you have
This-
men kids,
yeah,
male
yeah,
kids,
male kids, yeah. So us right now, we're not gonna be able to experience that immediately. We're not gonna be able to. We're starting to, but it hasn't reached that high point, especially in America. Outside of America, it's different, but in America,
I just thought of another thing too, is that, you know, how there's like these interviews of Jimmy Zhang going up to people and asking, is 4 inches big enough?
yeah,
And a lot of the responses is, it's not about how big it is, it's about how you use it, right?
right,
It doesn't matter the size, it's about how you use it, right?
Right.
So I think that does help the case a lot more, because it shows statistically that a lot more women are just caring about like the personality more so than like the size. So
that's a nice way to put it. I used to be kind of savage with it. Like like I said, I've been called every name in the book. Like I've had girls come up to me. Well, when I approach them, when I go up to them, they would say, "Oh, you know, you Asians have little dicks." You know what I would, what I would say? I would snap back and be like, "Nah, I think your vagina's too big." yeah. It was, I used to be savage. Like I don't say that now, but this technique was from a friend of mine. So same, he was Asian, and same situation happened. The girl said, "Oh, you know, your dick's too small. You know, you Asians, small dicks." He said, listen, my dick's too small. Your vagina's too big. I'm sure we could figure something out." I was just like, what the fuck? And the girl looked at him like, she didn't know how to snap back at that. I mean, jokes aside, that's one way to overcome it, right?
mm-hmm.
Like there's always going to be a way to overcome these negative stereotypes. So I tell Asian guys, don't take these, stereotypes to heart. Try not to. Sometimes it still even gets me, but I say try not to. Instead of focusing on you getting caught up, you getting mad, you getting upset, just focus on how to overcome it. Focus on the solution, not the problem, right? So that's kind of what I try to preach for the Asian guys.
Yeah. I think also the consistency, right? I think Asian men or Asians in general, I keep getting that mixed up, but Asians in general, right?
Yeah.
We're very consistent, and because we're consistent, that's why it leads to Asians in general. They're making more money.
Yes. Yes.
I'm not trying to boast, but the stats are there.
Yes, they are.
They're very hardworking in terms of that, right?
Yes.
So if that's the case, then it shows that there's a sort of consistency, right? So if you're an Asian man, you should honor that. You should uphold that sort of consistency and hold it to your heart that, I'm consistent, so I'm going to keep working on this.
Yes.
And keep bettering myself to talk to women. And one day, if you are like an Asian that actually likes non-Asian girls, then, you'll make it.
Listen. I'm gonna say this straight to the Asian guys that are listening to this, okay? We have the best work ethic, okay? We literally have the best work ethic. More than, I would say second would be Latinos, okay? But us Asian men, we are number one when it comes to work ethic. And I tell my Asian men.
I have to cut you off, bro. I do think a lot of Latinos are pretty damn hardworking.
Listen, we work sweatshops 24/7. Okay, we work 24-hour shifts, 7 days straight. Okay, I never heard of no Latino working in a sweatshop.
I gotta give my respect to the Latino.
Oh yeah,
brothers.
I respect them. Like I said, I would say they're number 2 next to Asians when it comes to work ethic.
That's your opinion. All right.
Okay,
go ahead. Yeah, sorry to cut you off.
And I tell Asian men, listen, use that work ethic. You can use that work ethic to better yourself in terms of getting good with women. Mm-hmm. Right? You can use that same. That's how I did it.
Yeah.
I grinded. I literally, when I first started learning pickup, I treated it like a full-time job. Okay. I would wake up early, 8 in the morning. This was I'll give out my schedule when I was in college. I would wake up 8 in the morning because I didn't want to fight traffic in the parking lot. Yeah. I would get there early and I'll be chilling there waiting for all the girls to go to class. And I was like, okay, there's going to be a rush. There's going to be a stampede of girls leaving the parking lot. Okay, everyone's gonna be on their way to class. I'm gonna start approaching as much as possible. Okay.
You go like high school, a bus, school
No,
bus?
no, college. This was in college.
Yeah, but I thought there's like set times like for like classes. So there could be like 8 a.m. classes, 12 p.m.
Yeah. So like, I would get there an hour because classes started around, or morning classes started around 9 a.m.
Okay.
Right? Yeah. So I had like a 1 hour window.
Okay.
Okay. So during that 1 hour, a lot of people would be on their way to class.
Got it.
Right. So I would just be literally sitting there posted up, waiting for the girls to come by.
To what school?
This was in Orange Coast College.
Okay.
This was in a college. Yeah. For those of you that have been there, you know how the parking lot's set up. I'm not going to get into the specific details of it. Yeah.
Okay.
But the way the parking lot was set up, I could do it. Okay. So after that, the morning class is over. Lunch comes around, right? Noon. Everyone's on lunch break. Okay, lunch break. This is my time to start talking to girls.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I would go to my normal classes, whatever. And after class was done, I would go to the beach. I would go to the beach and start gaming girls at the beach. Okay.
Yeah.
So I treated it like a full-time job. And I told myself, I even gave myself a minimum. Said, hey, minimum, Sebastian, you have to talk to 10 girls per day. You have to approach 10 girls a day. And I was consistent with that. At least 3 days a week, 10 girls a day, 3 days a week. Mm-hmm. And I was consistent. That was the bare minimum. And there were even days I was kind of hardcore. I called it 12 to 12 game. So I would pick up girls, usually on the weekends, from noon, 12 p.m. till midnight, 12 a.m.
What the hell?
Yeah.
God damn.
I grinded it out. I literally treated it because I was like, listen, I'm Asian. I got the work ethic. This is what I'm going to do. And of course, I got rejected, I got rejected 2,000 times, but eventually I was able to figure out how to get good with women through all the rejections, all the grind. Of course, I'm not telling the viewer, hey, you should be as crazy as me, but it's for you to put into perspective what could be possible for you if you use that work ethic.
Yeah. I think it's very important to not like accept your fate. If you just go like, okay, I'm an Asian man, so it's harder for me. Yeah. Like you should actually make a difference, and you should like start showing to everyone, actually Asian men are not like this. Yeah. If you just go with the crowd and just let them think what they want, then you're kind of just sheep mentality, right?
Yeah.
So
I mean, I will say this, Asian men, we are gonna have it harder. So what we have to do is we gotta overcompensate, right? We have to really, really grind and put in the work. And to me, I wouldn't have it any other way, because in the beginning, I used to complain. Mm. But for me, it's like a status symbol or accomplishment, because now I know for a fact I have good game. Yeah, I know for a fact I have good game, right? Because I have things working against me, but I'm still able to have success with women regardless of those things that are working against me.
Yeah, just a little backstory. Sebastian is very into non-Asians. He never dated like a Asian girl before,
No, never
right?
dated an Asian girl. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So the thing with me is that like I want to have like a non-Asian girl, try dating her. But the thing is, I'm not as attracted. But I will say, if I was attracted to non-Asian girls, I would do the same thing, man. Yeah. Because we got to represent like the Asian men out there. We got to, there's like a subreddit called Asian masculinity, right? What is that about?
I'm not even getting into that. Those guys hate me. That subreddit. Those guys don't like me.
I mean, like for there to be like an Asian masculinity thread that's like big on Reddit, that must. There's like a wave of like Asian men that want to show that we're actually masculine, right?
Right.
Is that what's going on in there?
Yeah. I mean, I love the idea of the subreddit itself. It's just that the community itself, I think they're pretty funny. They're very quick to judge. They're extremely judgmental, very, very critical. Mm-hmm. So
I saw some of it.
Yeah,
it's kind of hypocritical. It's like, okay, Asian masculinity, but when we do something that's considered masculine, it's like, hey, you gotta quiet yourself. But it's like, bro, or we're trying to be and trying to embellish our masculinity. Right?
Yeah. So I was posting infields of me approaching girls, and they would immediately criticize me, saying, "Yo, that's really weird. Why are you going up and talking to girls like this?" Or they would start, "This isn't how you get girls. This is how you're supposed to get girls." And I'm just like, listen, okay, if you are right in your ways of getting girls, show me the evidence, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And if the evidence holds, show me that you're able to teach it to other men. Show me the receipts, right? Show me the receipts. Have your students gotten married? Have your students gotten girlfriends? Have your students gotten threesomes? Right? Show me the results. I can back up the results, okay?
Yeah.
So you can critique, you can judge, you can talk trash all you want, but at the end of the day, show me the results. I showed mine, right? Show me yours.
Yeah.
Instead of being so quick to judge, so quick to
But
hate,
I think
so
that
quick to
kinda-
point fingers.
That also contradicts the fact that there are more and more Asian men becoming masculine, because if there's like this whole Asian masculinity subreddit
Yeah.
where they think, okay, yeah, we're becoming more masculine, but they're actually not. They're like promoting, hey, be more docile and submissive. Then that kind of goes against like this whole Asian men are more masculine nowadays, right?
Yeah. I mean, there's always gonna be, again, it's just it's a subreddit, you know, it's a small group of people. So I try not to use that as a reference point for the entire Asian community.
Yeah.
Right. We're a massive community. Right?
Yeah.
There's 2 billion of us, right? So I try not to view it that way. Even though they're very critical of me, very judgmental of me, I'm just like, whatever. You know, I just brush it off, and I still try to bring value. I still try to bring value to anyone that's interested in bettering themselves and are willing to put in the work, especially when it comes to pickup.
Okay. Well, anyways, we're gonna end it off right here. If you guys are interested in getting better by Sebastian and his motivation, and you like the message that he's given, feel free to check him out at gallantgentleman.com, and you could also message him on IG. He personally answers all IGs, and I'll put that handle in the comment or like the description. And then that's pretty much it. We will see you guys next time on the Controvert podcast. Peace out.